Welcome to a brand new episode of the Oracles. Unfortunately, the beautiful superstar Oracle Z Mazibu is not here with us today. Now, I'm very excited about this week's episode because this week is the first time in a while that we have had a guest from outside of South Africa. Our guest today is a gentleman who was born and raised in Chicago. This guy makes rap music just the way I like it, without any profanity, which is quite uncommon today. Now, I think it might just be the first person we're speaking to who has appeared on on Netflix. He's definitely the only person who has been a Sprite ambassador and has performed in front of Lupe Fiasco, Twista, Chance the Rapper, and Royce the 5'9". Our guest this week has so far released three EPs, Growth, Traveler's Guide, and Flight of the Honeybee. He is an incredible musician with an incredible voice and a special writing ability. He is truly special, and we are yet to see the best of him. Ladies and gentlemen, the Oracles are honored to present to you today from the south side of Chicago, AUSAR. AUSAR, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What an introduction. I appreciate you.
Now, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your time. I know because the time difference is very huge. I think it's 7 hours between us right now. Right now it's the evening for
Okay.
us, and it's still the morning for you, as far as I
hmm
understand. Yeah, but anyway, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I can't complain. I feel rested.
Yeah,
Um, Everything is well. Everything is well.
yeah. Ah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's great to have you here. Now, I want us to start at the beginning. I want us to start where your music journey begins. Where does your music journey begin?
I think it essentially begins in the church. When about 5, 6 years old, music has always been around me. My mother was the lead vocalist in the choir in the church that I grew up with. Occasionally, she would bring me up to sing with her. She had me in piano lessons when I was really young. Um, my I and singing was actually my first instrument. It was singing, then piano, and then when my mother got married, um, one of my older stepbrothers, his name is Nicholas. Nick rapped, and I just wanted to be like Nick when I was younger.
Yeah.
So when Nick was sitting right or listening to instrumentals, I would sit and write with him. And it turned from a bonding moment with my brother to something that I actually loved and cherished. And that's how we get here.
All right. So Nick is your biological brother, older brother.
So he's like my biological brother. He's my step
Okay.
brother, but
Oh,
in terms
okay.
of relationship, that's blood
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. All right. All right. No, that's awesome. Now, which church did you go to actually? Or do you go to?
So the church that I go to now is called Global Ambassadors Ministries, and it's actually hosted by my mother and my stepfather. It's a family church.
Okay. All right. So now
Yeah,
there's really no getting out of the church with your parents being the heads of the church.
yeah. It's
No,
ingrained in me.
yeah. Now I actually understand, and because I also grew up in the church, so I appreciate you sticking to that, even though, and actually, it's one of the things that I like because I love to teach about hip hop, to teach, to let people know that hip hop isn't all the things that we hear in the mainstream. So coming across an artist like you, a rapper like yourself, who speaks about his positive message and actually shows what hip hop is like. That's actually refreshing, and I love to hear that. Now, you've mentioned Nick as your basically as one of the influences, but who else
Mhm.
has been your influence outside of the family?
Outside of the family, um, in terms of musical influences and inspirations, people like Lauryn Hill, D'Angelo, Andre 3000, Common is my favorite rapper, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Drake. The list goes on and on. Even vocalists like Jasmine Sullivan and the way that they're able to paint tracks. Though I'm not as decorative vocally, I want to be able to create moments in my tracks the same way that she does because she keeps a listener entertained the entire time through, and there's never a dull moment.
Yeah.
Um, Wyclef indirectly. through the music to a degree, but also just as a person and as a mentor has been very influential to me. He was one of the first people who uh, I would deem as like legendary in the sphere of music, who really invested in me and just assured me that I had the talent to do this. And that was definitely pivotal to the drive that I have as an artist, even. So, yeah.
Right. Now, how did you get to meet Wyclef, and how did you get to that point where you got that mentorship with him?
Yeah. Wyclef came to my college. I went to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. He came there for a show. He did a concert. And midway through the concert, he said, "Who wants to get up here and freestyle with me?" Cool. He picked like five people from the crowd. I was one of them. Everybody did a verse. The crowd reaction chose me. And we were supposed to do a cipher at the end of the show. Instead, he was like, "Go give your information to my people in the back. We like what we hear. There's a possibility of you making an album I'm working on." To make a long story short, he heard it, he liked it. He brought me on for the album. I went on pseudo tour with him. I went to South by Southwest with him, um, which was great. And I stayed in touch from then on. And I've been able to contact him. He's thrown me a couple of different opportunities, some sync licensing opportunities. I was on the Shy when he scored the Shy for the last season. And it's all because kind of believed in what it is we've been building over here, which has been dope.
No, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Now, I understand there's also was a Sprite ambassador, an ambassador for Sprite. How did you get to do that, and what was the experience like in going through all of that?
Yeah, that was also something that was just by happenstance. Sprite every year has their Sprite Way program, and essentially what the Sprite Way program does is pick unsigned talent, independent artists, and they throw their resources behind them for a year-long contract. And essentially, I had a friend send it to me, and she was like, "You should do this." And so I did it. Over 200 people tagged me in the comment section, and one of the representatives from the agency that they work with reached out to me, and the rest was history. The experience was great. I got a lot of really cool opportunities out of it. The people I worked with from over there were incredible people, very kind and welcoming. And I think it was a good look all around. I think the reception that I got from a lot of my people who support me, everybody was so happy and enthralled in it. And it was just a really great experience.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. Now, because I'm looking at the journey, and it's a very interesting one. You had Wyclef you have Wyclef as a mentor. You've had an opportunity to work with him. You've worked with Sprite,
Mhm.
and quite recently you've also been on Netflix, Rhythm and Flow.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
did you get yourself in there, and what was that experience like as well?
Rhythm and Flow was cool. I think so. In terms of how I got into it, it was just an application. They announced that they were doing the show. I sent in the application. Got the call back while I was in class in college. That's the same way I got back in contact with Wyclef too. I was in a class. It was
Okay.
very funny because in both of those instances, I had to act like that didn't just happen and go back to paying attention in class.
Yeah.
um, but I got the call back. I got my audition. I was kicked out in the first round, and it was kind of discouraging on initial onset. But after kind of sitting with it and seeing my trajectory since then, it's made sense. I understand that that wasn't my opportunity. It was good for people to have eyes on me and just another moment in my journey, but it built up some tough skin, and I think it showed me just how close in proximity I am to these people. Since Rhythm and Flow, I've seen Lupe again. I've talked to Lupe again. I've talked to Chance again. Like
Yeah.
I've been in the same rooms, and it just shows me I'm on the right path. I actually just saw Lupe maybe a week and a half ago at a show that I opened for, and we got a chance to sit and talk. And he was asking me if I still was doing it, if I was still making the music thing happen. It was just a real cool full circle moment for years later to come back, be in the same room, and tell him like, yeah, I'm still doing this and I'm doing it better than I was the last time we met. Like this show
Yeah,
you came for to see the headliner, I'm the one who opened for it.
yeah,
So it was cool.
yeah. And like, I actually like that mentality of accepting that that opportunity on the rhythm and flow wasn't for you. Now,
Mhm.
how did you actually get that mental strength? And because a lot of people would have been dejected, being
Mhm.
eliminated in the first round, especially when you've been performing in front of a crowd, you've been performing in front of these
Mhm.
great artists. But where does that strong mentality come from?
I think it's just building a callus. We've hit walls so many different times, and at any point in those junctures, we could have given up. But I think you build up endurance the more you keep going.
Yeah,
And I'm way too pot committed at this point to walk away. This is what I love to do. I know this is where my calling is, and I just don't have any quit in me. I don't.
yeah.
Um, and that's how we've gotten here. And I think
Yeah.
because of that, we're starting to see the fruits of our labor.
Ah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I want us to actually go back because I want to go back to what happened last week when you actually got to talk to Lupe again. You were performing at Summer Smash, which I understand is a big deal because it's been trending, especially with what happened with Nadwa
Mhm.
during the weekend. How did you get yourself on the stage of Summer Smash, and how was your performance?
So I actually, it's funny because I didn't meet Lupe at Summer Smash. I actually
Oh.
saw him at another show I got booked on, which
Oh, okay.
was crazy, incredible show. She's a phenomenal performer. Um, it was great, but we moved from that straight into Summer Smash, and Summer Smash was incredible. I got on the Summer Smash lineup because somebody who I've built a relationship with over the past few years is his name is Elliot Montanez, and he works at Lyrical Lemonade. And Lyrical and Elliot specifically have been huge supporters of mine from jump. And this was just the first year it made sense for me to be on their bill. Um, and Elliot pulled for me, and I got there, and it was a really great opportunity. It was a whole lot of fun once I actually hit that stage. I think the crowd reaction was great. Everybody says they enjoyed the performance. Um, and I think it exposed me to a new audience as well, which was also really cool. So I had a great time.
No, that's cool, man. That's really, really cool. Now, I want us to actually get into the music because I've
Mhm.
listened to your music. I do listen to your music actually, and it is quite incredible. It's beautiful to listen to. Please take us through the process of when you start working on new music. How do you go about doing that?
Mhm. It depends. Usually, I like to have direction when I'm working on music. I don't. It's very hard for me to write without a sense of direction or knowing what it is I want to talk about. And so sometimes I just sit silently and I wait until I have something to talk about.
Yeah.
And when I do, I just want to be very intentional with how I'm portraying that message. I, I think when I like start getting in the rhythm to sit still and just observe the world around me. And then when I do get inspired, like I need to hone in on that. So sometimes that's verse a day. Every day I need to be writing a verse. Sometimes it's multiple verses a day. It just depends. And I always want my music to have a message that touches somebody. And that message can differ depending on how I'm feeling day to day, but I want it to touch somebody in a way where it's impactful. I just want my music to be impactful regardless of what it is.
All right. And then, as far as with the production, do you also produce your own music, or do you have producers that you work with?
Yeah, I work with a bevy of producers, but my longtime collaborator and the person who touches everything, regardless of what it is Ro Moore. Ro has been a mentor of mine, an older brother. Um, like that's family. He's built out everything. Like he's my engineer. He executive produces everything that I do. And he's the other half of this operation when it comes to the music side of things. He is just as much everything you hear from me is just as much his as it is mine.
Yeah. That and then how would you describe your music actually? If someone was to ask you about your music, how would you describe it?
Um, Impactful. Uh, I would say where we're moving into. Um, it's very well rounded. I think it's fun. I think it has high replay value. I think it's intentional.
Yeah.
And those are words that I would use to describe my music.
All right. And uh because now and that actually makes sense because like I said, I do listen to your music and often I go back to Flight of the Honeybee. I think that's my favorite
Mhm,
EP of all three.
mhm.
But which would you say is your favorite EP?
My favorite EP is probably Growth, because I think that set the tone for everything that came after it. I think we really hit a stride. That's when we started using live instrumentation,
Yeah.
um, and we really started getting comfortable. That's when me and Ro figured out our sound together collaboratively.
Okay. Yeah. And that's actually a very good one as well. It's a very good one. Now, let's get into your latest singles. You
Thank
released Ghosted and Don't Date Rappers. Please tell us about those.
you. Yeah, so Done Day Rappers and Ghosted are two singles off of my upcoming album called I Now Know, which also goes by Ink. Um, and I think they offer a perspective that you haven't really heard from me. One of the things that I've been very intentional about for this album is that I think I tell stories all the time. I very rarely tell my own story and my own experiences.
Yeah.
And so these are written from the perspective of my own personal experiences. Don't Day Rappers is a song about how things are moving around me and how music is becoming a very real thing for me and the opportunities that come with it, and how in my dating life I have to be a lot more careful about who I'm allowing in my space, because a lot of people fall in love with potential more than they do person.
Yeah.
um and so it's just traversing that gray area. I think for Ghosted it's actually the reciprocal, where I come to terms with some of my own dating woes where I was kind of the problem, where I was unwilling to put my own ego aside to come to some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Just not ultimatum, but some sort of peace in situations, and how that came back to haunt me later. And not just in romantic relationships, in general with conflict. Like I'm much more prone to just removing myself and ghosting, if you will, than
Yeah.
actually dealing with it head on.
All right. And now let's get into the actual album. I now know, which very
Mhm,
excited about. I'm
mhm.
excited to hear. When is it coming?
It is coming on July 29th.
That is okay. That is actually 4 weeks from now. I'm looking forward to it. But
Mhm.
and then what is it? What is your actual intention with the album, and what can you expect from it?
I want people to walk away from this album knowing who I am. I want you to listen to it and know, oh, this is who I think Asari is, based off of
Yeah,
experience, based off of what we've heard. I wanted to change your perspective of me, even as an artist, because I think people have an idea of who they think that I am as an artist. But after hearing this, I want you to understand that I'm much more than just that pocketed persona that you may think you know of me. Um, I want this to set the tone and the groundwork for everything we do moving forward. I think this is going to finally put me in a space where you know I am in the public eye. I am super super grateful to all the supporters that I have now. But I think that fan base is only going to continue to grow, and probably exponentially after this, because the album is really really good. Like
yeah.
it's great. We put a lot of time, a lot of sweat equity into it. Um, and I know it's great, and I'm just excited to share it with the world.
Yeah, and for someone like yourself, you're not a huge artist as yet, but what does it take
Mhm.
for someone at your level to actually put together a good album?
To put together a good album, I think it takes time, effort, and a team that believes in you, right?
Yeah,
To put together a great album, I think it takes all of those things in addition to sacrifice. The biggest word that describes this album, not just the album in terms of the subject matter, but the process in itself, was sacrifice. We sacrificed so much to get here: time, effort, just sleep, money. There was sacrifice all across the board.
yeah.
And I think we're about to finally see the fruits of our labor now, which is going to be great. But it takes sacrifice to get there.
And what do you actually want to see yourself achieve through music? How far do you want to see, do you actually see yourself going with music?
I think I can be one of the biggest artists in the world. In all honesty, I think my message is one that the world needs. I think I have the talent for it. I have the team around me to do it. I have the luxury of being surrounded by geniuses all day. I think Roe is incredible. Is a generational talent. I think my manager, Will Goff, incredible generational talent. The musicians that I'm able to work with, the producers I'm able to work with, my collaborative artists, all of them are just incredible people. And so I think we can do this at the highest level and even excel at the highest level.
No, yeah. Yeah, and I actually believe that because I mean, Will is the only person in your team that I've been in conversation with, or rather in contact with. And the way that he actually goes about his work is very professional. And it kind of, I kind of get that idea where that in his head, he sees you guys being A-list already. And actually did something great
Mhm.
for you as well. I saw that you registered your name officially. Um, how did
Yep,
that
he
happen? And
trademarked
why
it.
did
Yeah.
it, why did he actually go and do that?
Yeah, Will is always 2 or 3 steps ahead of where we're at. Usually Will is the brains of this operation. Let me be
Yeah,
very clear. Um, and usually when we step into the next phase of our careers, Will has already prepped us for it and we're already prepared because he thought about it a year or two ago.
yeah,
So Will has my name trademarked. Will actually got my name trademarked to start at the process 18 months ago. So we're just now seeing it. Um, he did it because he believes in the mission. He believes in our trajectory, and he knows, there's gonna come a time where in the entertainment space, we need to have the rights to this.
yeah.
So he just went ahead and did it and made sure that we had it together.
Yeah, and it's actually quite weird because the after I saw that he trademarked your name, um, I saw a basketball player being drafted. Is it in the NBA?
Yep.
His name is also Asar.
Yeah.
So now, how
Yep.
is that going to work? What's going to happen now since you've got your name
Yeah. I
trademarked?
don't. I don't know. It's funny because we actually follow each other on Instagram, and it's because I remember seeing a clip of him when he was like 16 playing basketball. And I was just like, oh, he's really good. And then I checked and saw that he had the same name as me. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Followed him, and we've been following each other ever since. So maybe one day he'll reach out to me to see how we can work something out. Who knows?
Yeah. No, man. Hopefully something good will come out of it. But I know that something good will actually come out of it. Now, I want to know outside
Mhm.
of music, because I know that you've also got other things going on outside of music. How do you actually spend your time just to keep your mind away from music?
I sit in solitude. I like to just, you know, take some time to take care of me, and that's something that I'm learning more now, because for a long time I just was on go all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm learning to be present. I'm learning to, just take things one step at a time. Spending time with family, going to play basketball occasionally because that's something I like to do. Just making sure I spend my time wisely.
All right. Now, in closing, because we're pretty much stressed, pressed for time, just a little bit. But where do you see yourself in 5 years from today?
Continuing on the path that I'm going. I think that I'll probably be a couple of albums in, um, touring the world, making my impact in whatever ways I can, not just in music, but in advocacy, maybe in uh, I like entertainment, so in other forms of entertainment, whether that be acting or screenwriting or whatever it may be, whatever ends up
Yes.
taking my interest, in all honesty. Um, but just making an impact in the world around me and changing lives in the process.
All right. Now, man, that's awesome. Actually, just one more question. One more question before
Mhm.
you go. Are awards important to you?
Are awards important to me? That's an incredible question, and you'll see why very soon.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that awards are as important as you make them. I think everybody likes to be acknowledged, but you have to figure out at what cost.
Yeah.
Um, what are you willing to sacrifice to get to the accolades that you want? Sometimes it's worth it, other times it's not. It just depends on what you're willing to sacrifice.
Okay. No, I'll just leave it there. I'll hear from you when we actually get to the full answer, like you say, because I'll find out soon enough. But yeah, we'll wait
Mhm.
for the full response. But anyway, Asa, it is an incredible time. It's always an incredible time talking to you, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again. And hopefully, next time we talk will actually be in person.
Absolutely, I love that.
Yeah. Okay, right now, before I leave, actually, do you have anything that you'd love to say?
Um, just thank you again for having me and opening up your platform to me. And be on the lookout for I now know on July 29th.
Right. All right, awesome, man. Awesome. Asad, thank you very much for your time. It's always an incredible time talking
Thank
to you.
you.
Unfortunately, you weren't able to meet Z today, but you'll definitely get to meet her next time. But anyway, that is it from us from the Oracles for this week. We'll be back again next week. In the meantime, please subscribe, please share, please like, share with everyone, and comment in the comment section. But until next week, have a good one. Cheers.